Chase my tail, 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 chase my tail.
Chase my tail.
Which is awkward considering I'm clearly dead.
Yeah, we're kind of super dead.
Mm-hmm. Super duper dead.
Cadaverific.
Hello. Oh, something bad. No shit.
I do have the translator open, but it's kind of a hassle for me to go back and forth between them.
Yeah, if anything, we could have the audience decipher it. Hey, Mage!
Mage, you're here! Behold, we are Flonk, and we are dead.
Yes. That still has no meaning for us. Oh.
Oh.
We got a few people here. Fourth key? Siege engine? Oh, that's...
Yeah, we beat up that jerk and took that key from him, yeah.
Yes, we did. And you say, hero, fool.
I think he's making fun of us.
How dare.
Like, I'm pretty sure if I took the time, I could actually potentially memorize the different phonemes for this alphabet.
Hmm.
But it's just one of those, like, I would have to take the time to do that.
Yep. Hello, Becca.
Hi, Becca.
Lantern has pasta.
I do have pasta.
I had some gross Valentine's Day candy.
Mushroom pasta.
Ooh. We had corned beef and cabbage for dinner.
Mmm.
What kind of gross candy? It was literally just the cheapo chocolate hearts.
Oh, I think there's things to keep our eyes out for.
Let's see, was there anything that was... Nope, not in here. No, it wasn't the ones that had all the words on them, sadly. Oh, they're gross, too.
Yep.
Swamp. Also, hello, Yowza.
Hi, Yowza.
And Surat.
And Sarat.
Whoa.
Oh. Hello.
Does praying to you work the same way?
I see that page there, but how do
Yeah.
we get it?
If I recall, there should be an item we'll be getting that will help us with that. Hello. Cathedral Moonlight. And what do you say? Big fight. Well, this looks interesting, question mark? Okay. Still...
We found poo water.
Yeah. Old burying ground.
I think we got a manual page about this section.
Way to find out.
I'm not...
Oh, there it is. The swamp. Old burying ground.
Hmm.
And there's a part that says it has skulls times 4 written on it.
That's certainly not ominous.
And that one still also had coffee stains on it as well. Music's very quiet here, but it's very spoopy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of the vibe for the whole soundtrack. Like, it almost reminds me of the Sega CD version of Echo the Dolphin, in that it's, like, simultaneously very ambient, but also very creepy. And, like, it works magnificently for this game.
Oh, that's not ominous in the slightest. Oh, I wonder if this is where, Oh, hello. I was wondering if you were here.
Darth Kikyo.
Yes. There's some more coins, but I have nowhere near enough. And I have enough for you. Could always use some more health.
Especially now that our stats have been nerfed since we're dead.
Yeah.
Echo is one of those franchises that I adore. I am terrible at the games, and they are made of cat drugs.
Let's see. Stairs. Or ladder. Complete with a chest. Got another playing card.
Oh dear God.
It's not the Pokemon, at least.
Yeah, that's true. Our one and only clip from any of our streams.
I mean, we've got a few from, Tunic. We did have one for Chocobo's Dungeon, but it seems to have vanished.
Oh. Oh right, when the goblins started going batshit crazy. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yep.
You were a mini-boss in Link's Awakening. I should replay Link's Awakening.
Yes. Oh. I saw an
It's
exclamation
funny.
point, but I
saw that too.
I didn't see an enemy. Are we gonna be dealing with? Well, good. We're dealing with invisible enemies now. Just great. Just we got more cheese.
So that's a thing.
Hooray! We got phantom foxy beasts.
So people in the Discord server know about this, but I backed a Kickstarter for the Avatar tabletop RPG, and so I've got digital copies of the books. Eventually, I'll be getting physical ones, but I asked the server if any of them would be interested in me running a campaign, potentially. And the answer was an emphatic yes, so I've kind of been in Avatar brain rot mode the past couple of days.
Yeah.
Actually, dug up a notebook to start jotting down ideas, having a lot of fun with that.
Oh, jeez, it's a biggin! It's a biggin!
Do we get the captain's hat from you? Are we in Akana Canyon or whatever it is?
Thanks for the coin! Bye! I've got... Ah! Too many! Too many! Thanks for the cheese! Nope, 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 nope. Ow. There goes my butt.
But we need that butt for Foxy Beef activities.
Oh, what? You murdered your friends. Thank you. Ow. Oh, jeez, you hit.
Oh, dear God.
I don't want to know what happens if I double die. Thank you. I cross river? Okay. No, you should not be allowed to cross running water. Oh, wait, you're not a vampire.
Take him on down to the Bull Mountain Bridge.
Alright, there's gotta be another path I'm missing somewhere. Could you just chill for a bit? Ow! That's a nope. Alright, where's... Taste firecracker! Damn it, it fell in the water. Ow. There goes my face.
And my cheese.
I wanted that cheese. Alright, I'm gonna switch back to my staff. Oh. Pray to the monolith again. Ow! Where are you? Okay, that's just cheap, man.
Invisible enemies were something this game definitely needed.
I know, right?
They're certainly not obnoxious in the slightest.
Yeah. I just saw it. There you are. Get over here. Get your freaking butt over here so I can get your ghost cheese.
They almost look like the things that power the monoliths.
Yeah. Looks like there's a light bridge over there. Oh, but there's a chest over here. More cheese. Oh, spoopy crow up there.
Friggin' birds.
My cheese. Get over here. Thank you. Yeah, it makes sense. Look for the ripples when they're floating above.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nope, that's not a climbing spot. This is, though. I can't reach that. Oop, another chest. And we get another coin. Well, that's not ominous in the slightest. Ow. Ow. Fine, chug. Oh. It's another big skull. I hope that's not one of the... Ah.
Another Akana Canyon Titan thing.
Yeah. Stay where you are, birds. Fruit. Not sure how to get to that chest yet. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Friggin' birds.
They're like those things we saw earlier. Ouch. There I go.
Damn it.
I wonder if I have to wear my mask for that. Where's my mask? There it is.
My knees are large.
Ouch.
We're a ghost wearing a gas mask. We don't breathe anymore.
Hey. Do you mind? These guys are not nice.
We're already dead. Why are you bullying us?
I mean, look what happens to Casper on a regular basis.
True.
get an idea how to spot these guys. Just wherever the lines end up, that seems to be where they show up. That skeleton didn't even get to attack.
Mwahaha.
There we go. Now, about you. Okay, good to know that apparently, even with the gas mask, that doesn't do anything.
They are still made out of, like, atomic butt cancer.
Ah! So that's not gonna work. I'll just switch that out then. Let's see. Get back here. That one
The Dark Souls of Foxy Beefs. Like, I've seen a couple of reviews calling this, like, oh, this is clearly a shameless ripoff of Zelda, and I'm like, have you actually played the game?
No.
Because this is almost nothing like Zelda.
Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of people just look at it and maybe go through like a few bits of it and then they'd make their review.
Yeah. And, like, as a Zelda fan, this has almost nothing like Zelda, and I love it for it.
Now, give me back my cheese. I'm gonna try and sneak past you guys instead. You, I can't sneak past.
But there's only one of him.
Yep, screw it, I'm gonna run past you. There we go.
So what's up here?
Let's see.
Oh, okay, it's a shortcut.
That's convenient.
Please be near the statue.
Looks like it, because it's right by the...
The shop, yeah.
Yeah. Ah, much better.
Don't get me wrong, this definitely gives me a similar experience to Zelda 1, where it's... You're thrown into this world, you only have a vague notion of what's going on. Even the things you read aren't terribly helpful. Go at it. But, it plays so much differently from Zelda, and it still manages to be a really cool experience.
In we go! Oh, convenient. The cathedral.
Yep. That's not ominous.
Nope. I'll go the back way, thank you.
We're not here to interrupt your Easter service.
Are those just us, but evil?
They look kinda like evil us. Yeah. Oh.
And they do
And they're
damage.
powered by butt cancer. Got it.
Why must everything made of butt cancer?
We're gonna pull aside. We're going in this ass backwards.
Yep.
Yes. Great moments in D&D history. Sai only knows one way to open doors, and that is to bodily fling himself at them.
Ah! No! How dare you! Crap. Oh, let's, try the gas mask now, I guess. Oh yeah, there was a big pool of purple. You know what, screw it. Let's go in the front way. See how this goes. Ouch.
Brains.
Joke's on you, I don't have brains.
If we had brains, then we'd be able to read. And our character clearly can't read.
What's up with you, then?
I know there is like an interactable wall or something in here. I don't know where precisely in the cathedral it is, but I know it exists.
And we got a D20 mom cult. Okay, nothing up there, but there is a monolith up there. That's a good question. Were they just drinking the purple cancer juice?
Probably? They tell you not to drink the Kool-Aid, but they never say anything about not drinking the purple butt cancer.
And then there's another critter over there. The big difference is they're wearing blue bandanas instead of red like ours.
Oh my god, they're Breath of the Wild Flonk!
Ouch. Ouch. You guys are mean. Granted, I would be mean too if I was in a cult.
And made of purple butt cancer?
Yeah. Don't join the purple butt cancer cult. It's not worth it.
Nope. I don't have good luck with cults.
Yeah. Because you've been dragged into a couple.
Remember, folks, if you're going to make a cult, make sure that your object of worship actually wants you to worship them.
Yep. Oh, Mage hasn't heard the story of your cult experience.
Okay. So, my high school experience wasn't exactly the typical high school experience. Keep in mind, this was the early 2000s, so technology was different back then. I went to supervillain high school. So for my electives, I went to school with the regular kids, and for like gym class, for creative writing, whatever, for Spanish. But for my core classes, we actually had block scheduling set up, and every day I would get on the bus in the middle of the day and go off to an off-site location. There were 4 of these sites in our region, 2 in Stafford County and 2 in Spotsylvania County. And it was basically all advanced classes. I ended up taking 12 or 13 AP classes by the time I graduated high school. And one of the things we did was learning by broadcast. So one of the teachers at one of the sites could teach all 4 sites. And basically there was a camera at each site. Each site had a broadcast room. And every set of 2 students had something so that they could respond to questions or ask questions. You press a button, a mic turns on, camera comes in and zooms in at you. So I was one of the people at the Spotsy Tech Center site / the Riverbend site, because we changed buildings halfway through my high school career, that could reliably be counted on to answer questions. So what the hell does all of this have to do with cults? I'm glad you asked. For field trips, all 4 sites would gather together and go to the same location. So it's 120 students from all over Spotsylvania and Stafford County. One of the early field trips, my freshman year, we went to a place called Moorfield Mine down in Virginia to do gem mining. And one of the students from the Colonial Forge site came up to me. It was like, "Hey, do you remember me? We went to preschool together." And I'm like, I don't in fact remember you, but it's plausible. In fact, someone in my class now I went to preschool with, and it's really weird. Could you be more specific? Which preschool was it? Because I went to more than one. The first one. That sets off a couple of alarm bells in my head. The first one. Yeah, the first one. You were in Manchester, Connecticut 12 years ago, or however the hell long it was. Absolutely? Question mark? And, it turned out that this Forge student just wanted to get close to me, and a whole bunch of the Forge students came up to me that day and are like, "We see how you answer questions, and we worship you." And it got really creepy really fast, like every single field trip. They got to the point where they started calling themselves the Cult of Lantern's real name here. And I basically had to hide every field trip because people would come up to me and be like, "Can we get a picture of you? We want some of your underwear. Can we have one of your socks?" And it's like, 50-foot distance, please, for the love of God. And apparently I wound up on a t-shirt up there. I have never seen this t-shirt. I don't ever want to, but it was an entire thing. Yeah, so I had a cult devoted to me. I didn't want it. Thanks. I hate it. This is my life.
Yep. And then someone tried to also do that a couple years ago on Discord too. I put a stop to it.
Yeah. Someone on, I want to say it was like the Lemon Light public Discord was like, "I'm gonna start a cult devoted to you," and I'm like, no. And Star was like, "I will find you and set you on fire." God, I hope not. I haven't really. There's like one person from high school I talk to very rarely. They're not from Supervillain High School. It's not due to any antipathy on my part. It's just I suck at keeping track of people. Granted, some of the people I went to high school with were horrible people. Pros and cons of genocide. That was a real conversation I had in Supervillain High School. Yep. Also, because I was with the same 30 people every day for 4 years, and there were all those teenage hormones, there was a lot of, like, couple, for lack of a better term, inbreeding, where, like, people would be dating, and then they'd break up, and then they'd start dating new people, and there was a lot of bad blood, and because it was the same 30 people, it was not a large group, and so, we occasionally had to deal with, like, people actively plotting to murder each other. I did have someone, like, try to slit my throat at one point. That was a thing. I am a very boring person. I like my life simple and quiet. Reality is often uncooperative. Snow beeps.
Snow beeps. Ow.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that happen, or heard of it happening, at my high school. Actually, a couple years ago, I saw a great meme on Facebook that someone posted talking about like overcrowding in high schools. It was like this picture with the caption of like talking about schools are overcrowded. We need more funding for schools so this doesn't happen. And I take a look at the picture they have, and it's a picture of a staircase that's just jam-packed. And I go, wait a damn minute. I know that staircase. So I send that meme to like the one person from high school that I still talk to. I'm like, hey, Tay, is that Riverbend? And she's like, that looks like Riverbend. Let me confirm with some other people. So she sent it to people she still talks to, who sent it to people they still talk to. And we're all like, yeah, that's the damn... It is the one staircase at Riverbend High School, son of a bitch.
Yeah, these particular guys seem to be a bit more advanced than some of the zombier ones.
One of the guys I knew from Supervillain High School actually built siege weapons and laid siege to the Latin teacher's house at one point.
Same guy who tried to buy a submarine, right?
No, although he did, he wasn't in Supervillain High School yet. But the submarine thing was a thing. Oh god, given that I haven't heard from any of those guys in a long time, it's quite possible that the CIA finally did track them down.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to do that. That works. Well, we found one of the skeletons that were in the monolith.
We found Jesus.
Given some of the depictions of him, yeah.
That looks like the dolly print my mom has hanging downstairs.
What did I just do?
I'm not sure? Is that like a plate of skulls? What the... Oh. Where'd Jesus go?
I think we just sacrificed him for those skulls.
I feel like there has to be secrets in here, but...
And so let's just switch out the hook shot for the moment since we haven't used it yet in this area. So... Bye!
So, we're going to hell, then.
In a skull basket.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about everything.
Hello? Hi! Okay, this is fine.
Oh,
more
God.
of you, there's more of you, there's more of you, there's more of you.
I thought we run?
I don't think that's an option.
There's a path down south, it looks like.
Doesn't matter now, I'm squished. Okay, this is a warm-up. Sounds like it. Okay.
Oh, good.
Good.
Great, great.
Yay! I'm just gonna grab my cheese and run away. What path?
Oh dear. That is an absence of path. Great.
Well,
Fantastic.
looks like we're standing and fighting.
Stand firm and fight. It's the British way. Wait, that's not how that song goes. We'd love for you guys to take friendly fire, just saying.
Oh, I see. You light each one of these and you get a different fight. I probably should have saved that for another spot, but hindsight.
Again, I could in theory translate the buttons. It's just really cumbersome with my setup.
Yeah. Oh, it's a boss rush. That's what it is.
Epic music for this.
Yeah. Whoops. Okay, so it's... Okay. So I can do the fights in any order. Oh, wait, no, that's the tougher one, I think. Oh, it's that guy from earlier. Let's try you.
Oh, god damn it, it's these things.
Ow. This may take a while, folks.
Yep.
Alright, I'll wait a bit before starting up again. Light the candle, okay.
So there's this man crawling through the desert.
This.
You know, he decided to try his SUV, a little bit of cross-country travel, you know. Had great fun zooming over the Badlands, through the sand, but he got lost, and he hit a big rock, and then he couldn't get it started again. And you know, ain't no cell phone towers out in the middle of the desert, so his phone was useless. He had no family. His parents had died a few years before in a car wreck, and his few friends had no idea he was out here. Waiting to see if anyone's reacting in the chat yet. Not yet. He stayed with the car for a day or so, but his one bottle of water ran out and he was getting thirsty. He thought maybe he knew the direction back now that he paid attention to the sun. And... oh, okay. One down.
Yep. I assume I have to defeat all of them in one go, so... Let's try you. Ah, it's one of the frogs.
Entirely too many frogs.
Just a bit, yeah. And these aren't as cute as the bullywogs.
Yeah, Yowza's never heard that one. Should I make Yowza suffer through that, is the question. The last time I did that one, it legit took up an entire stream.
Yeah, and Layla was pissed.
Layla was about ready to fly out here and strangle me.
Ouch.
He thought maybe he knew the direction back now that he paid attention to the sun, and he thought he'd figured out which way was north, so he decided to start walking. He figured he only had to go about 30 miles or so, and he'd be back to the small town he'd gotten gas in last. He thinks about walking at nights to avoid the heat and sun, but based upon how dark it actually was the night before, and given that he has no flashlight, he's afraid he'll break a leg, or step on a rattlesnake, or get eaten by a grue, or get attacked by the atomic purple butt cancer. So he puts on some sunblock, puts the rest in his pocket for reapplication later, brings an umbrella he'd had in the back of the SUV with him to give him a little shade, pours the windshield wiper fluid into his water bottle in case he gets desperate, brings his pocket knife in case he finds a cactus that looks like it might be the quenchiest, and heads out in the direction he thinks is right. He walks for the entire day. By the end of the day, he's really thirsty. He's been sweating all day and his lips are starting to crack. He's reapplied the sunblock twice and tried to stay under the umbrella, but he still feels sunburned. The windshield wiper fluid sloshing in the bottle in his pocket is starting to sound really good right about now. He knows that it's mainly water and some ethanol and coloring, but he also knows that they add some kind of poison to it to keep people from drinking it. He wonders what the poison is, and whether the poison would be worse than dying of thirst. He pushes on, trying to get to that small town before dark. By the end of the day, he starts getting worried. He figures he's been walking at least 3 miles an hour, according to his watch, for over 10 hours. That means if his estimate was right, he should be close to town. Unfortunately, he doesn't recognize any of this. He had to cross a dry creek bed a mile or two back, and he doesn't remember coming through it on the SUV. He figures that maybe he got his direction off just a little, and that the dry creek bed was just off to the side of his path. He tells himself that he's close, and that after dark he'll start seeing the town lights over one of these hills. That'll be all he needs. I really like the music of this game. As it gets dim enough that he starts stumbling over small rocks and things, he finds a spot and sits down to wait for full dark and the town light. Full dark comes before he knows it. Must have dozed off. Stands back up, turns all the way around. He sees nothing but stars.
Hi.
Hi.
You're cute.
No, you.
Yo.
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 He wakes up the next morning, feeling absolutely lousy. His eyes are gummy, and his mouth and nose feel like they're full of sand. He's so thirsty he can't even swallow. He barely got any sleep because it was so cold. He'd forgotten how cold it got at night in the desert, and hadn't noticed it the night before because he had been in his car. He knows the rules of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. Then, you dead. Some people can make it a little longer in the best situations. The desert heat and having to walk in sweat, however, isn't the best situation to be in without water. Unless he finds water, he figures this is the dawn of the final day. He rinses out his mouth with a little bit of the windshield wiper fluid. He waits for a while after spitting that little bit out to see if his mouth goes numb or he feels dizzy or something. Has his mouth gone numb? Just as mine? He's not sure. He'll go a little bit further, and if he still doesn't find water, he'll try drinking some of the fluid. Then he has to face his next harder question. Where do we go now? Where do we go? Where do we go now? Wow. Does he keep walking the same way as yesterday, assuming that he still knows which way that is, or does he try a different direction? He has no idea what to do. That is a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
Looking at the hills and dunes around him, he thinks he knows the direction he was heading before. Just going by a feeling, he points himself somewhat to the left of that and starts a walking. As he walks, the day starts heating up. The desert, too cold just a couple hours before, soon becomes an oven again. He sweats a little at first and then stops. He starts getting worried at that. He knows that when you stop sweating, you're in trouble. It's usually right before heat stroke, which I would not personally recommend. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
He decides that it's time to try the windshield wiper fluid. He can't wait any longer. If he passes out, he's dead. He stops in the shade of a large rock, takes the bottle out, opens it, and takes a mouthful. He slowly swallows it, making it last as long as he can. It feels so good in his dry and cracked throat that he doesn't even care about the nasty taste. He takes another mouthful and makes it last too. Slowly, he drinks half the bottle. He figures that since he's drinking it, he might as well drink enough to make some difference and keep himself from passing out. He's quit worrying about the denaturing of the wiper fluid. If it kills him, it kills him. If he didn't drink it, he'd die anyway. Besides, he's pretty sure that whatever substance they denature the fluid with is just designed to make you sick. Their way of keeping winos and Keith Richards from buying cheap wiper fluid for the ethanol content. He can handle throwing up, if it comes to that. He walks. He walks in the hot, dry, windless desert of death.
Ah.
Sand, rocks, hills, dunes, a dragon kid, the occasional scrawny cactus or dried bush. No sign of water. Sometimes he'll see a little movement to one side or the other, but whatever moved is usually gone before he can focus his eyes on it. Probably birds, lizards, mice, that dragon kid. Maybe snakes, though they move more at night. He's careful to stay away from the movements. Oh, it's these things!
Yep.
After a while, he begins to stagger. He's not sure if it's fatigue, heat stroke finally catching him, or maybe he was wrong and the denaturing of the wiper fluid was worse than he thought. He tries to steady himself and keeps going. After more walking, he comes to a large stretch of sand. This is good. He knows he passed over a stretch of sand in the SUV. He remembers doing donuts in it. Or at least, he thinks he remembers it. He's getting woozy enough and tired enough that he's not sure what he remembers anymore or if he's hallucinating. He thinks he remembers it, so he heads off into it, trying to get to the other side, hoping that it gets him closer to the town. He was heading for town, wasn't he? He thinks he was. He's not sure anymore. He's not even sure how long he's been walking anymore. Is it morning? Has it moved into afternoon and the sun going down again? Must be afternoon. It seems like it's been too long since he started out. He walks through the sand. After a while, he comes to a big dune in the sand. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from where he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from when he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from when he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from when he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. Wait, has he thought this before? He doesn't remember. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from when he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. This is bad. All the same, he has no other direction to go. Too late to turn back now. He figures that he'll get to the top of the dune and see if he can see anything from there that can help him find the town. He keeps going up the dune. Halfway up, he slips in the bad footing of the sand for the second or third time and falls to his knees. He doesn't feel like getting back up, since he'll just fall down again. He keeps going up the dune on his hands and knees. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from when he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. This is bad. While crawling, if his throat weren't so dry, he'd laugh. He's finally gotten to the hackneyed image of a man lost in the desert, crawling through the sand on his hands and knees. It would be the perfect image, he imagines, if only his clothes were more ragged. The people crawling through the desert in cartoons always had ragged clothes, but his have lasted without any rips so far. Somebody will probably find his desiccated, mummified corpse half buried in the sand years from now, and his clothes will be in fine shape. Shake the sand out, give them a good wash, and they'll be wearable again. Horribly tacky, but wearable. He wishes his throat were wet enough to laugh. He coughs a little instead, and it hurts. He finally makes it to the top of the sand dune. Now that he's at the top, he struggles a little, but manages to stand up and take a look around. All he sees is sand. Sand and more sand. Behind him, about a mile away, he thinks he sees the rocky ground he left to head into the sand. Ahead of him, more dunes, more sand. This isn't where he drove his SUV. This is hell. Or close enough. Again, he doesn't know what to do. He decides to drink the rest of the wiper fluid while drinking it out. He takes out the bottle and starts removing the cap when he glances to the side and sees something. Something in the sand. Bottom of the dune, off to the side, he sees something strange. It's a flat area in the sand. He stops opening the bottle and tries to look closer. The area seems to be circular and it's dark, darker than the sand, and there seems to be something in the middle of it. But he can't tell what it is, so he looks as hard as he can, but still can't tell from here. He's going to have to go down there and look. Friggin' skelly bones. He puts the bottle back into his pocket and starts to stumble down the dune. After a few steps, he starts to realize that he's in trouble. He's not going to be able to keep his balance. After a couple more sliding, tottering steps, he falls and starts to roll down the dune. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from when he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. This is bad. The sand is so hot that he thinks he's caught fire on the way down. Like a movie car wreck flashing into flames as it goes over the cliff. Before it ever even hits the ground, he closes his eyes and mouth, covers his face with his hands, and waits to stop rolling. He stops at the bottom of the dune. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes from when he was driving over the sand in his SUV. At least he doesn't think he remembers any. This is bad. After a minute or two, he finds enough energy to try and sit up and get the sand out of his face and clothes. When he clears his eyes enough, he looks around to make sure that the dark spot in the sand is still there and he hadn't just imagined it. Seeing the large, flat, dark spot on the sand still there, he crawls towards it. He'd get up and walk towards it, but he doesn't seem to have the energy to get up and walk right now. It's a no-bones day. He must be in the final stages of dehydration, he figures as he crawls. If this place in the sand doesn't have water, he'll likely never make it anywhere else. This is his last chance. This is himself. Under pressure, do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. He gets closer and closer, but still can't see what's in the middle of the dark area. It's hard to focus, and lifting his head up to look takes so much effort that he finally gives up trying. He just keeps crawling. Finally, he reaches the area he'd seen from the dune. It takes him a minute of crawling on it before he realizes that he's no longer on sand. He's now crawling on some sort of dark stone. Stone with some kinds of markings on it. A pattern cut into the stone. He's too tired to stand up and try to see what the pattern is. And even if he could, he probably couldn't read it anyway, because it's probably in foxy beep language. So he just keeps crawling. He crawls towards the center where his blurry eyes still see something in the middle of the dark stone area. His mind, detached in a strange way, notes that either his hands and knees are so burnt by the sand that they no longer feel pain, or that this dark stone in the middle of burning desert with a pounding, punishing sun overhead just doesn't seem to be hot. It almost feels cool, like Billy D. Williams. He considers lying down on the nice, cool surface. Cool, dark stone. Not a good sign. He must be hallucinating this. He's probably in the middle of a patch of sand, already lying face down and dying, and just imagining this whole thing. This is bad. He doesn't remember any dunes. This is bad. A desert mirage. Soon the beautiful women carrying pitchers of water will come up and start giving him a drink. Then he'll know he's gone. He decides against laying down on the cool stone. If he's gonna die here in the middle of this hallucination, he at least wants to see what's in the center before he goes. He keeps crawling. It's the third time that he hears the voice before he realizes what he's hearing. He would swear that someone just said, "Greetings, traveler. You do not look well. Do you hear me?" He stops crawling. He tries to look up from where he is on his hands and knees, but it's too much effort to lift his head. So he tries something different. He rolls over and leans back trying to sit up on the stone. After a few seconds, he catches his balance, avoids falling on his face, sits up, and tries to focus his eyes. Blurry, he rubs his eyes with the back of his hands and tries again. Better this time. He can see! He can fight! He's sitting in the middle of a large, flat, dark expanse of stone. Directly next to him, about 3 feet away, is a white post or pole about 2 inches in diameter and sticking out about 4 or 5 feet of the stone. At an angle. And wrapped around this white rod is what must be a 15-foot long desert diamondback rattlesnake. Not that he'd know, because he can't identify snakes for shit. With a hovering tail and rattle, seemingly prepared to start rattling, looking directly at him. He stares at the snake in shock. He doesn't have the energy to get up and run away. He doesn't even have the energy to crawl away. He doesn't have the energy to roll away. This is it. His final resting place. No matter what happens, he's not going to be able to move from this spot. Well, at least dying from a bite from this monster, hey, that's racist. Should be quicker than dying of thirst. He'll face his end like a man. He struggles to sit up a little straighter. The snake keeps watching him. He lifts one hand, flicks it in the snake's direction, feebly. The snake watches the hand for a minute, then goes back to watching the man, looking into his eyes. Maybe the snake has no interest in biting him. Hasn't rattled yet. That's a good sign. Maybe he isn't going to die of snake bite after all. He then remembers that he'd looked up when he reached the center here because he thought he'd heard a voice. He's still very woozy. He feels like he might pass out soon. The sun still beats down on him, even though he is now on cool, Billy D. Williams-esque stone. He still doesn't have anything to drink, so maybe he'd actually heard a voice. The stone doesn't look natural, nor does that white post sticking up out of the stone. Someone must have built this. Maybe it was Billy D. Williams. Maybe he's still nearby. Maybe that's who talked to him. Maybe this snake is even their pet, and that's why it isn't biting. Does Billy D. Williams have a pet snake? He wasn't sure. He tries to clear his throat to say hello, but he's too dry. All that comes out is a coughing or wheezing sound. There's no way he's going to be able to talk without something to drink. He feels his pocket, and the bottle with the wiper fluid is still there. He shakily pulls out the bottle, almost losing his balance and falling on his back in the process. That can't possibly be a good sign. He doesn't have much time left, by his reckoning, before he passes out. He gets the bottle open, manages to get the bottle to his lips, and pours some of the fluid in his mouth. Sloshes it around, and then he swallows it. He coughs a little. His throat feels a little better. Maybe he can talk now. He tries again. Ignoring the snake, he turns to look around him, hoping to spot the owner of this place, and croaks out, "Hello? Is there anyone here? Billy D. Williams, is that you?" He hears from his side, "Greetings. What is it that you want?" He turns his head back towards the snake. That's where the sound seemed to come from. The only thing he can think of is that there must be a speaker hidden under the snake, or maybe built into that post. He decides to try asking for help. "Please," he croaks again, suddenly feeling dizzy. "I'd love not to be thirsty anymore. I've been without water for a long time. Can you help me?" Looking in the direction of the snake, hoping to see where the voice is coming from this time, he's shocked to see the snake rear back, open its mouth, and speak. He hears it say, as the dizziness overtakes him and he falls forward, face first on the stone, "Very well. Coming up." A piercing pain shoots through his shoulder. Suddenly he's awake. He sits up, grabs his shoulder, and winces at the throbbing pain. He's momentarily disoriented as he looks around, and then he remembers. Crawl across the sand, the dark area of the stone, the snake, a lack of Billy D. Williams. He sees the snake, still wrapped around the tilted white post, still looking at him. He reaches up and feels his shoulder where it hurts. It feels slightly wet. He pulls his finger away and looks at them. Blood. He feels his shoulder again. Feels like his shirt has 2 holes in it. 2 puncture holes. They match up with the 2 aching spots of pain on his shoulder. He's been bitten. By the snake. Ah, hell, his clothes are no longer intact. Damn it! It'll feel better in a minute. He looks up. It's the snake talking. He hadn't dreamt it. Suddenly he notices he's not dizzy anymore. More importantly, he's not thirsty anymore. At all. Have I died? Is this the afterlife? Why are you biting me in the afterlife? Sorry about that, but I had to bite you, says the snake. That's the way it works. It all comes through the bite. Think of it as natural medicine. You bit to help me? Why aren't I thirsty anymore? Did you give me a drink before you bit me? How did I drink enough while unconscious not to be thirsty anymore? I haven't had a drink for 2 days, well, except for the windshield wiper fluid. Hold it, how in the world does a snake talk? Are you real? Are you owned by the Disney Corporation? No, says the snake. I'm real as you or anyone is anyway. I didn't give you a drink. I bit you. That's how it works. It's what I do. I bite. Plus, I don't have hands to give you a drink, even if I had water just sitting around here. The man sat stunned for a minute. Here he was, sitting in the middle of the desert on some great strange stone next to a dune that he didn't remember that should be hot but wasn't, talking to a snake that could talk back and had just bitten him. And he felt better. Not great. He was still starving and exhausted, but much better. He was no longer thirsty. He'd started to sweat again, but only slightly. He felt hot in the sun, but it was starting to get lower in the sky, and this cool stone beneath him was a relief he could notice now that he was no longer dying of thirst. I might suggest that we take care of that methanol you now have in your system with the next request, continued the snake. I can guess why you drank it, but I'm not sure how much you drank or how much methanol was left in the wiper fluid. That stuff is nasty. It'll make you go blind in a day or two if you drank enough of it. Next request, said the man. Put his hand back on his hurting shoulder and backed away from the snake a little. That's the way it works. If you like, that is, explained the snake. You get 3 requests. Call them wishes, if you wish. The snake grinned at his own joke, and the man drew back a little further from the show of fangs. But there are rules, the snake continued. The first request is free. The second requires an agreement of secrecy. The third requires the binding of responsibility. The snake looks at the man seriously. By the way, the snake says suddenly, my name is Nathaniel. Old Nathan, Samuel used to call me. He gave me the name. Before that, most of the bound used to just call me Snake. But that got old, and Samuel wouldn't stand for it. He said that anything that could talk needed a name. He was big into names. You can call me Nate, if you wish. Again, the snake grinned. Sorry if I don't offer the shake, but I think you can understand. My shake sounds somewhat threatening. The snake gave his rattle a little shake. My name is Jack, said the man, trying to absorb all this. Jack Sampson. Can I ask you a question, Jack says suddenly. What happened to the poison in your bite? Why am I not dying now? How did you do that? What do you mean by that's how you work? That's more than one question, grins Nate. But I'll still try to answer all of them. First, yes, you can ask me a question. The snake's grin gets wider. Second, the poison is in you. It changed you. You now no longer need to drink. That's what you asked for. Or well, technically you asked not to be thirsty anymore. But anymore is such a vague term. I decided to make it permanent. Now, as long as you live, you shouldn't need to drink much at all. Your body will conserve water very efficiently. You should be able to get enough just from the food you eat, much like a creature of the desert. You've been changed. For the third question, Nate continues, you are still dying. Besides the effects of the methanol in your system, you're a man, and men are mortal. In your current state, I give you no more than another 50 years. Assuming you get out of this desert alive, that is. Nate seemed vastly amused at his own humor, and continued his wide grin. As for the fourth question, Nate said, looking more serious as far as Jack could tell, as Jack was just now working on his ability to read talking snake emotions from snake facial features. First, you have to agree to make a second request and become bound by secrecy. Or I can't tell you. Wait, Jack joked. Isn't this where you say you could tell me, but you'd have to kill me? I thought that was implied, Nate continued to look serious. Yeah. Jack leaned back a little as he remembered again that he was talking to a 15-foot poisonous reptile with a reputation for having a nasty temper. So what's this bound by secrecy stuff, and can you really stop the effects of the methanol? Jack thought for a second. What do you mean methanol, anyway? I thought these days they used ethanol just to denature it. They may, I don't really know, said Nate. I haven't really gotten out in a while. Maybe they do. All I know is that I smell methanol on your breath and on that bottle in your pocket. The blue color of the liquid when you pulled it out to drink some, let me guess that it was wiper fluid. I assume they still color wiper fluid blue? Yeah, they do. I figured, replied Nate. As for being bound by secrecy, with the fulfillment of your next request, you'll be bound to say nothing about me, this place, or any of the information I tell you after that when you decide to go back to your own kind. You won't be allowed to talk about me, write about me, use sign language, charades, or even act in a way that will lead someone to guess correctly about me. You'll be bound to secrecy. Of course, I'll also ask you to promise not to give me away, and as I'm guessing that you're a man of your word, you'll never test the binding anyway, so you won't notice. Nate said the last part with utter confidence. Jack, who had always prided himself on being a man of his word, felt a little nervous at this. Nate, who are you? How do you know that? Are you, omniscient or something? Well, Jack, said Nate sadly, I can't tell you that unless you make a second request. Nate looked away for a minute, and then looked back. Well, okay, said Jack. What's this about a second request? What can I ask for? Are you allowed to tell me that? Will you have to kill me? I can tell you that, said Nate, brightening. You are allowed to ask for changes. Changes to yourself. They're like wishes, but they can only affect you. Oh, and before you ask, I can't give you immortality, or omniscience, or omnipresence for that matter. So I might be able to make you gaseous, and yet remain alive. Then you could spread through the atmosphere and sort of be omnipresent. But what good would that be? You still wouldn't be omniscient, and thus still could only focus on one thing at a time. Not very useful, at least in my opinion. Nate stopped when he realized Jack was staring at him. Well, anyway, continued Nate, I'd probably suggest giving you permanent good health. It would negate the methanol now in your system. You'd be immune to most poisons and disease, and you'd live a very long time. Barring accident, of course. And you'll even have a tendency to recover from accidents. It always seemed like a good choice for a request to me. Cure the methanol poisoning, huh? Said Jack. And keep me healthy for a long time. Doesn't sound bad at that. Now, it has to be a request about a change to me. I can't ask to be rich, right? Because that's not really a change to me. Right, nodded Nate. Could I ask to be a genius and permanently healthy? Jack asked hopefully. That takes 2 requests, Jack. Yeah, that's what I figured. But I could ask to be a genius. I could become the smartest scientist in the world or the best athlete. Well, I could make you very smart, admitted Nate. That wouldn't necessarily make you the best scientist in the world. Or I could make you very athletic, but that wouldn't necessarily make you the best athlete either. You've heard the saying that 99% of genius is hard work. Well, there is some truth to that. I can give you the talent, but I can't make you work hard. It all depends on what you decide to do with it. Said Jack. Well, okay, I think I understand, and I get a third request after this one? Maybe, said Nate. It depends on what you decide, then. There are more rules for the third request I can only tell you about after the second request. You know how it goes. Nate looks like he'd shrug, if he had shoulders. Okay, well, since I'd rather not be blind in a day or two and permanent health doesn't sound bad, then consider that my second request. Officially. Do I need to sign in blood or something? No, said Nate. Just hold out your hand, or heel, Nate grinned. Or whatever part you want me to bite. I have to bite you again. Like I said, that's how it works. The poison, you know? Nate said apologetically. Jack winced a little and felt his shoulder where the last bite was. Hey, didn't hurt anymore, just like Nate said. That made Jack feel a little better about the biting business. But still, standing still while a 15-foot snake sunk its fangs into you. Jack stood up, ignoring how good it felt to be able to stand again, and the hunger started to gnaw at his stomach. Jack tried to decide where he wanted to get bitten. Despite knowing that it wouldn't hurt for long, Jack knew that this wasn't going to be easy. Hey Jack, Nate suddenly said, looking past Jack toward the dunes behind him. Isn't that a three-headed monkey? Jack spun around and looked. How often do you see a three-headed monkey out here in the middle of the desert? They're normally tropical, and sometimes they carry bananas. Wait a minute, there's no three-headed monkey over there. What was Nate? Ow! My butt! Jack sat down carefully, favoring his more tender buttock. I would have decided eventually, Nate. I was just thinking about it. You didn't have to bamboozle me like that. I've been doing this a long time, Jack, said Nate confidently. You humans have a hard time sitting still and letting a snake bite you. Especially one of my size. Besides, admit it. It's only been a couple of minutes and it already doesn't hurt anyone, does it? That's because of the health benefit with this one. I told you that you'd heal quickly now. Yeah, well, still, said Jack. It's the principle of the thing. Nobody likes being bitten in the butt. Couldn't you have gotten my calf or something instead? More meat in the typical human butt, replied Nate. And less chance you'd accidentally kick me, or move at the last second. Yeah, right, so tell me all these wonderful secrets now that I'm qualified to hear reptilian matter. Okay. Do you want to ask questions first, or do you want me to just start talking? Just talk. And I'll sit here and try not to think about food. Just like the person telling this joke does. We could go try to rustle up some food for you first, if you like, answered Nate. Hey, you didn't tell me you have food around here, Nate. Jack jumps up. What do we have? Am I in walking distance to town? Or can you magically whip up food along with your other powers? Is there a deli on the other side of that big white pole? Jack was almost shouting with excitement. His stomach had been growling for hours. I was thinking more like I could flush something out of its hole, bite it for you, and you could skin it and eat it. Assuming you have a knife, that is, replied Nate, with a grin that Jack was starting to get used to. Ugh, said Jack, sitting back down. Think I'll pass. I can last a little longer before I get desperate enough to eat desert rat, or whatever else it is you find out here. There's nothing to burn. I'd have to eat it raw. No thanks, just talk. Okay, replied Nate, still grinning, but I'd better hurry before you start looking at me as food. Nate reared back a little, looked around for a second, and then continued. You, Jack, are sitting... in a garden of Eden.
Well, I was doing great there.
Jack looked around at the sand and dunes and then looked back at Nate skeptically. Well, that's the best I can figure it anyway, Jack, said Nate. Stand up and take a look at the symbol on the rock here. Nate gestured around the dark stone they were both sitting on with his nose. Jack stood up and looked. Carved into the stone in a bas-relief was a representation of a large tree. The angled pole that Nate was wrapped around was coming out of the trunk of the tree, right below where the main branches left the trunk to reach out across the stone. It's very well done. It looked more like a tree had been reduced to 2 dimensions and embedded in the stone than it did like a carving. Jack walked around and looked at the details in the fading light of the setting sun. He wished he'd looked at it while the sun was higher in the sky. Wait. The sun was setting. That meant he was going to have to spend another night out here. Damn it! Jack looked out across the desert for a little bit and came back and stood next to Nate. In all the excitement, I almost forgot Nate, said Jack. Which way is it back to town, and how far? I'm eventually gonna have to head back. I'm not sure I'll be able to survive by eating raw desert critters for long. Even if I can, I'm not sure I want to. It's about 30 miles that away. Nate pointed with a rattle on his tail this time. As far as Jack could tell, it was a direction at right angles to the way he'd been going when he was crawling here. But that's 30 miles by the way the crow flies. It's about 40 by the way a man walks. You should be able to do it in about half a day with your improved endurance if you head out early tomorrow, Jack. Jack looked out the way that the snake pointed for a few seconds more and then sat back down. It was getting dark, not much he could do about heading out right now, and besides, Nate was just getting to the good stuff. Garden of Eden, huh? Best as you can figure it? Well, yeah, as best as I and Samuel could figure it anyway, said Nate. He figured that the story got a little mixed up. You know, snake in a tree offering temptations, making bargains, that kind of stuff. But he could never quite figure out how the Hebrews found out about this spot from across the ocean. Worried about that for quite a while. Garden of Eden, huh? Said Jack. How long have you been here, Nate? No idea, really, replied Nate. A long time. Never occurred to me to count years until recently, and by then, of course, it was too late. But I do remember when this whole place was green. So I figure it's been thousands of years, at least. So, are you the snake that tempted Eve? Said Jack. Beats me, said Nate. Maybe. I can't remember if the first one of your kind I talked to was female or not, and never got a name. But it could have been. And I suppose she could have considered my offer to grant requests a temptation, though I've rarely had a refusal. Well, how did you get here then? Why is that light pole stuck out of the stone there? Asked Jack. Dad left me here. Or I assume it was my dad. It's another snake, much bigger than I was back then. I remember talking to him, but I don't remember if it was in a language or just kind of understanding of what he wanted. But one day he brought me to this stone, told me about it, and asked me to do something for him. I talked it over with him for a while, then agreed. I've been here ever since. What is this place? Said Jack, and what did he ask you to do? Well, you see this pole sticking out of the stone? Nate loosened his coils around the tilted white pole and showed Jack where it descended into the stone. The pole was tilted at a 45-degree angle and seemed to enter the stone in an 18-inch slot cut into the stone. Jack leaned over and looked. The slot was dark, and the pole went down at it as far as Jack could see in the dim light. Jack reached out to touch the pole, but Nate was suddenly there in the way. You can't touch that yet, Jack, said Nate. Why not? I haven't explained it to you yet, replied Nate. Well, it looks like a lever or something, said Jack. You'd push it that way and it would move in the slot. Yep, that's what it is, replied Nate. What does it do? Asked Jack. End the world? Oh no, nothing that drastic. It just ends humanity. I call it the lever of doom. For the last few words, Nate had used a deeper, ringing voice. He tried to look serious for a few seconds, and then he gave up and grinned. Jack was initially startled by Nate's pronouncement, but when Nate grinned, Jack laughed. You almost had me fooled for a second there. What does it really do? Oh, it really ends humanity, like I said, smirked Nate. I just thought the voice I used was funny, didn't you? Nate continued to grin. A lever to end humanity? Asked Jack. What in the world is that for? Why would anyone need to end humanity? Well, replied Nate, I get the idea that maybe humanity was an experiment. Or maybe the big guy just thought that if humanity started going really bad, there should be a way to end it. I'm not really sure. All I know are the rules, and the guesses that Samuel and I had about why it's here. I didn't think to ask back when I started here. Rules? What rules? Asked Jack. The rules are I can't tell anyone about it, or let them touch it unless they agree to be bound to secrecy by a bite, and that only one human can be bound in that way at a time. That's it, explained Nate. Jack looked somewhat shocked. You mean that I could pull the lever now? You'd let me end humanity? Yep, replied Nate. If you want to. Nate looked at Jack carefully. Do you want to? No, said Jack, stepping a little further back from the lever. Why in the world would anyone want to end humanity? It'd take a psychotic to want that, or worse, a suicidal psychotic, because it would kill him too, wouldn't it? Yep, replied Nate, being as he'd be human too. Has anyone ever seriously considered it? Asked Jack. Any of those bound to secrecy, that is. Well, of course, I think they all seriously considered it at one time or another. Being given that kind of responsibility makes you sit down and think, or so I'm told. Samuel considered it several times. He'd often get disgusted with humanity, come out here and just hold the lever for a while. But he never pulled it, or you wouldn't be here. Nathaniel grinned some more. Jack sat down, well back from the lever. He looked thoughtful and puzzled at the same time. After a bit, he said, So, does this make me the judge of humanity? I get to decide whether they keep going or just ends? Me? That seems to be it, agreed Nathaniel. What kind of criteria do I use to decide? How do I make the decision? Am I supposed to decide if they're good, or too many of them are bad, or they're going the wrong way? Is there a set of rules for that? Nope, replied Nate. You pretty much have to decide on your own. It's up to you, however you want to decide it. I guess that you're just supposed to know. But what if I just get mad at someone, or some girl dumps me and feel terrible, and couldn't I make a mistake? How do I know that I won't screw up? Protested Jack. Nathaniel gave his kind of snake-like shrug again. You don't. You just have to try your best, Jack. Sudden, Jack sat there for a while, staring off into the desert that was rapidly getting dark, chewing on a fingernail. Suddenly, Jack turned around and looked at the snake. Nathaniel? Was Samuel the one bound to this before me? Yep, replied Nate. He was a good guy. Talked to me a lot. Taught me to read, brought me books. I think I still have a good pile of them buried in the sand around here somewhere. I still miss him. He died a few months ago. I can't tell if Becca is asking for arson about the game or arson about me. Sounds like a good guy, agreed Jack. How did he handle this when you first told him? What did he do? Ooh!
What do I get? You feel a tingling, it's called. Is the achievement for that? Oh, I know what this is, actually.
Neum, 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 neum. You have become the Rocket Fox.
Yes, which will also help us get around a few things. Here lies the hero.
Oh, it's another one of these statues that we can pray to.
But now we have that teleporting ability, so maybe we can actually reach something.
Okay, one was in the library and one was in the Eastern Forest, I remember.
Yes.
We regained some of our powers.
Awesome.
Star Fox! I want a new Star Fox game so badly. Sounds like a good guy, agreed Jack. How did he handle this when you first told him? What did he do? Well, said Nate, he sat down for a while, thought about it for a bit, and then asked me some questions, much like you're doing. What did he ask you, if you're allowed to tell me? Asked Jack. He asked me about the third request, replied Nate. Aha! Aha! It was Jack's turn to grin. And what did you tell him? I told him the rules for the third request. That to get the third request, you have to agree to the whole thing. That it ever comes to the point that you really think humanity should be ended, that you'll come here and end it. You won't avoid it, you won't wimp out. Nathaniel looked serious again, and you'll be bound to do it too, Jack. Jack looked back out in the darkness for a while. Nathaniel watched him, waiting. Nate? What did Samuel ask for with his third request? Nate sounded like he was grinning again as he replied, also quietly. Wisdom, Jack. He asked for wisdom. As much as I could give him. Okay, said Jack, suddenly, standing up and facing away from Nate. Give it to me. Nate looked at Jack's backside. Give you what, Jack? Give me that wisdom. The same stuff that Samuel asked for. If it helped him, maybe it'll help me too. Jack turned his head to look back over his shoulder at Nate. It did help him, right? Meow.
No.
Meow.
Wasn't sure if there's anything back here.
Like, I know there's a secret in the cathedral itself unrelated to the teleport.
Yeah.
But there are secrets everywhere in the game.
Yeah.
Like, we're still in baby basic stages.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I need to hold on for a second. Hello.
More cheese.
Cheese! Jack could have wished for cheese.
But he didn't.
Nope, he did not wish for cheese.
There we go. Eh.
Yes, it says try going left.
Okay. There we go. Rope. Oh, there's a rope over there, yeah.
Okay, Becca's back.
Okay.
Third request, okay, give me that wisdom. Same stuff that Samuel asked for. If it helped him, maybe it'll help me too. Jack turned his head to look back over his shoulder at Nate. It did help him, right? He said it did, replied Nate, but he seemed a little quieter afterward. Like he had a lot to think about. Well, yeah, I can see that, said Jack, so give it to me. Jack turned to face away from Nate again, bent over slightly and tensed up. Nate watched Jack tense up with a little exasperation. If he bit Jack now, Jack would likely jump out of his skin and maybe hurt them both. You remember that you'll be bound to destroy humanity if it ever looks like it needs it, right, Jack? Said Nate, shifting position. Yeah, I got that, replied Jack, his eyes squeezed tightly shut, body tense, not noticing the change in direction of Nate's voice. And, continued Nate from his new position, do you remember that you'll turn bright purple and grow big horns and extra eyes? Yeah. Wait a minute, said Jack, opening his eyes, straightening up and turning around. Purple? Like Kikyo? He didn't see Nate there. With the moonlight, Jack could see the lever extended up from its slot in the rock without the snake wrapped around it. Jack heard from behind him Nate's, just kidding, get dunked on. Bork, 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 bork. Bork, 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 bork. Right before he felt the now familiar piercing pain, this time in his other butt. Jack sat on the edge of the dark stone in the rapidly cooling air, his feet extending out into the stand. He stared out into the darkness, listening to the wind stir in the sand, occasionally rubbing his butt where he'd recently been bitten. Nate had left for a little while, had come back with a desert rodent-shaped bulge somewhere in his middle, and was now wrapped back around the lever, his tongue flicking out into the desert night's air, the only sign he was still awake. Occasionally, Jack, with his toes absent-mindedly digging in the sand, while he thought, would ask Nate a question without turning around. Nate, do accidents count? Nate lifted his head a little bit. What do you mean, Jack? Jack tilted his head back like he was looking at the stars. You know, accidents. If I accidentally fall on the lever without meaning to, does that still wipe out humanity? Pretty sure it does, Jack. I'd suggest you'd be careful if you start feeling wobbly, said Nate with some amusement. A little later. Does it have to be me that pulls the lever, asked Jack. That's the rule, Jack. Nobody else can pull it, answered Nate. No. I mean, does it have to be by my hand? Could I pull the lever with a rope tied around it? Or poke it with a stick? Or throw a rock? Those should work, though I'm not sure how complicated you could get. Samuel thought about trying to build some kind of remote control for it once, but gave up. Everything he'd built would be gone by next sunrise if it was touching the stone or over it. I told him in the past, others that had been bound had tried to bury the lever so they wouldn't be tempted to pull it, but every time the stones or sand or whatever had disappeared. Wow, said Jack, cool. Jack leaned back until only his elbows kept him off the stone and he looked up at the sky. Nate, how long did Samuel live? One of his wishes was for health too, right? Asked Jack. Yep. It was. He lived 167 years. Wow, 167 years. That's almost 140 more years if I live as long. Do you know what he died of, Nate? He died of getting tired of living, Jack, Nate said, sounding somewhat sad. Jack turned his head to look at Nate in the starlight. Nate looked back. Samuel knew he wasn't going to be able to stay in society. He figured that they'd eventually see him still alive and start questioning it, so he decided he'd have to disappear after a while. He faked his death once, but changed his mind. He decided it was too early and he could stay for a little longer. He wasn't fond of mankind, but liked the attention. Most of the time, anyway. His daughter and then his wife dying almost did him in, though. Didn't stay in society much longer after that. He eventually came out here to spend time talking to me and thinking about pulling the lever. A few months ago, he told me he'd had enough. It was his time. And then he just died, asked Jack? Nate shook his head a little. He made his fourth request. There's only one thing you can ask for the fourth request. The last bite. After a bit, Nate continued. He told me that he was tired. It was his time. He reassured me that someone new would show up soon, like they always had. After another pause, Nate finished. Samuel's body disappeared off the stone with the sunrise. Jack laid back down and looked at the sky, leaving Nate alone with his memory. It was a long time until Jack's breathing evened out into sleep. Jack woke with the sunrise the next morning. He was a little chilled with the morning desert air, but overall was feeling pretty good. Well, except that his stomach was grumbling and he wasn't willing to eat raw desert rat. So after getting directions to town from Nate, making sure he knew how to get back, and reassuring Nate he'd be back soon, Jack started the long walk back to town. With his new health and Nate's good direction, he made it back easily. Jack caught a bus back to the city and showed up for work the next day, little worse for the wear, and with a story about getting lost in the desert and walking back out. Within a couple of days, Jack had talked a friend with a tow truck into going back out into the desert with him to fetch the SUV. They found it after a couple hours of searching and towed it back without incident. Jack was careful not to even look in the direction of Nate's lever, though their path back didn't come within sight of it. Before the next weekend, Jack had gone to a couple of stores, including a bookstore, and gotten his SUV back from the mechanic, with a warning to avoid any more joyride in the desert. On Saturday, Jack headed back out to see Nate. Jack parked a little way out of the small town near Nate, loaded up his new backpack with camping gear and the things he was bringing for Nate, and then started walking. He figured that walking would lead the least trail, and he knew that while not many people camped in the desert, it wasn't unheard of and shouldn't really raise suspicions. Jack had brought more books for Nate. Recent books, magazines, newspapers, the strategy guide to Undertale. Some things that would catch Nate up with what was happening in the world, others that were just good books to read. He spent the weekend with Nate, and then headed out again, telling Nate that he'd be back again soon. Ominous.
I see.
Over 4 months later, Jack was back to see Nate again. This time he brought a laptop with him, a specially modified laptop. It had a solar recharger, special filters and seals to keep out the sand, a satellite link-up, and a special keyboard and joystick that Jack hoped that a 15-foot rattlesnake would be able to use. And it had been hacked to not give out its location to the satellite.
Seek the golden path.
The Golden Path is a big thing in this game, I know from just the English manual and from people talking. After that, Jack could email Nate to keep in touch, but he still visited him fairly regularly, at least once. After the first year, Jack quit his job. For some reason, with the wisdom he'd been given and the knowledge that he could live for over 150 years, working in a 9-to-5 job for someone else didn't seem that worthwhile anymore. Jack went back to school. Eventually, Jack started writing. Perhaps because of the wisdom or the new perspective, he wrote well. People liked what he wrote, and he became well known for it. After a time, Jack bought an RV and started traveling around the country for book signings and readings. But he still remembered to drop by and visit Nate occasionally. On one of the visits, Nate seemed quieter than usual. Not that Nate had been a fountain of joy lately. Jack's best guess was that Nate was still missing Samuel, and though Jack had tried, he still hadn't been able to replace Samuel in Nate's eyes. Hee Portal. God, I love this soundtrack.
I got ways to get more cheese. The air. Defeat. Holy Cross.
We will have a party of Temmies. Nate had been getting quieter each visit, but on this visit, Nate didn't even speak when Jack walked up to the lever. He nodded at Jack and then went back to staring into the desert. Jack, respecting Nate's silence, sat down and waited. After a few minutes, Nate spoke. Jack, I have someone to introduce you to. Jack looked surprised. Someone to introduce me to? Jack looked around and looked carefully back at Nate. Is this something to do with the big guy? No, replied Nate. This is more personal. I want you to meet my son. Nate looked over at the nearest sand dune. This is bad. He didn't remember crossing any sand dunes before. Wait. Sammy? Jack watched as the 4-foot-long desert rattlesnake crawled from behind the dune and up the stone base of the lever. Yo, Jack, said the new, smaller snake. Yo, Sammy, replied Jack. Jack looked at Nate. Named after Samuel, I assume. Nate nodded. Jack, I got a favor to ask you. Could you show Sammy around for me? Nate unwrapped himself from the lever and slithered over to the edge of the stone and looked across the sands. When Samuel first told me about the world and brought me books and pictures, I wished that I could go see it. I wanted to see the great forests, the canyons, the cities, even the other deserts, to see if they felt and smelled the same. I want my son to have that chance. To see the world, before he becomes bound here, like I have been. He's seen it in pictures over the computer that you brought me, but I hear that it's not the same. Being there is different. I want him to have that. Think you can do that for me, Jack? Jack nodded. This was obviously very important to Nate, so Jack didn't even joke about taking a talking rattlesnake out to see the world. Yeah, I can do that for you, Nate. Is that all you need? Jack could sense there was something more. Nate looked at Sammy. Sammy looked at Nate for a second and then said, Oh yeah, I gotta go back. Back in a little bit, Jack. Nice to meet ya. Sammy slithered back over the dune and out of sight. Nate watched Sammy disappear and then looked back at Jack. Jack, this is my first son. My first offspring through all the years. You don't even want to know what it took for me to find him, Nate. Nate grinned to himself. But anyway, I had a son for a reason. I'm tired. I'm ready for it to be over. I needed a replacement. Jack considered this for a minute. So you're ready to come see the world and you wanted him to watch the... Nate shook his head. No, Jack, you're a better guesser than that. You've already figured it out. I'm bound here. There's only one way for me to leave here. And I'm ready. It's my time to die. Jack looked more closely at Nate. He could tell Nate had thought about this, probably for quite a while. Jack had trouble imagining what it would be like to be as old as Nate, but Jack could already tell that in another 100 or 200 years, he might be getting tired of life himself. Jack could understand Samuel's decision, and now Nate's. So all Jack said was, What do you want me to do? Nate nodded. Thanks, Jack. I only want 2 things. 1, show Sammy around the world. Let him get his fill of it until he's ready to come back here and take over. 2, give me the 4th request. I can't just decide to die, not any more than you can. Won't even die of old age like you eventually will, even though it'll be time from now. I need to be killed. Once Sammy is back here ready to take over, I'll be able to die. And I need you to kill me. I've even thought about how. Poisons and other drugs won't work in me. And I've seen pictures of snakes that were shot. Some of them live for days, so that's out too. So, I want you to bring back a sword. Nate turned away to look back to the dune Sammy had gone behind. I'd say an axe, but that's somewhat undignified. Putting my head on the ground or a chopping block like that? No, I like a sword. Time-honored way of going out. Dignified way to die. And most importantly, it should work, even on me. Harry Potter taught me that. Are you willing to do that for me, Jack? Nate turned back to look at Jack. Yeah, Nate, replied Jack solemnly. I think I can handle that. Nate nodded. Good. He turned back toward the dune and shouted, Sammy, Jack's about ready to leave. Then quietly, "Thanks, Jack." Jack didn't have anything to say to that, so he waited for Sammy to make it back to the lever, nodded to him, nodded a final time to Nate, and then headed back into the desert with Sammy following. Over the next several years, Sammy and Jack kept in touch with Nate through email as they went about their adventures. They made a goal of visiting every country in the world. Did a solid job of it. Sammy had a natural gift for languages, as Jack expected he would, and even ended up acting as a translate for Jack in a few of the countries. Jack managed to keep the talking rattlesnake hidden, so by the time they were nearing the end of their tour of countries, Sammy had only been spotted a few times. While there were several people that had seen enough to startle them greatly, nobody had enough evidence to prove anything, and while a few wild rumors and stories followed Jack and Sammy around, nothing ever hit the newspapers, or the public in general. When they finished the tour of countries, Jack suggested they try some undersea diving. They did. Spelunking did that too. Sammy finally drew the line at visiting Antarctica. He'd come to realize that Jack was stalling. After talking to his dad about it over email, he figured out that Jack probably didn't want to have to kill Nate. Nate told Sammy that humans could be squeamish about killing friends and acquaintances. So Sammy eventually put his tail down, seeing as he didn't have feet, and told Jack it was time. He was ready to go back and take up his duties from Dad. Jack delayed it a little bit more by insisting they go back to Japan and buy an appropriate sword. He even stretched it a little more by getting lessons, but eventually he'd learned as much as he was likely without dedicating his life to it, and was definitely competent enough to take the head off a snake. It was time to head back and see Nate. When they got back to the US, Jack got the old RV out of storage, where he and Sammy had left it after their tour of the 50 states. Loaded Sammy up, loaded up the sword, and headed for the desert. Neum.
Noom.
When they got to the small town that Jack had been trying to find those years ago when he'd met Nate, Jack was in a funk. He didn't really feel like walking all the way out there. Not only that, but he'd forgotten to figure travel time correctly, and it was late afternoon. They'd either have to spend the night in town and walk out tomorrow, or walk in the dark. As Jack was afraid that if he waited one more night, he decided that he'd go ahead and drive the RV out there. It was only going to be this once, and Jack would go back and cover his tracks afterward. Power! That must have been attack or defense or something.
Yeah, looks like it, see?
Nice.
Yeah.
They ought to be able to make it out there by nightfall if they drove, and then they could get it over tonight. Jack told Sammy to email Nate that they were coming as he drove out of sight of the town on the road. Then he pulled off the road and headed out into the desert. Everything went well until they got to the sand dunes. This is bad. Jack had been nursing the RV along the rocks through the creek beds, rubbing the engines the few times they got stuck. When they came to the dunes, Jack didn't really think about it. He just downshifted and headed up the first one. By the third dune, Jack started to regret that he'd decided to try driving on the sand. The RV was fishtailing and losing traction. Jack was having to work it up each dune slowly and was trying to keep from losing control each time they came over the top and slid down the other side. Sammy had to come up to sit in the passenger seat, coiled up and laughing at Jack's driving. As they came over the top of the fourth dune, the biggest one yet, Jack saw that this was the final dune. The stone, lever, and somewhere Nate waited below. Jack put on the brakes, but he'd gone a little too far. The RV started slipping down the other side. Jack tried turning the wheel, but he didn't have enough traction. He pumped the brakes, no response. They started sliding down the hill, faster, faster, and faster. Jack felt a shock go through him as he suddenly realized that they were heading for the lever. He looked down. The RV was directly on the course for it. If Jack didn't do something, the RV would hit it. He was about to end humanity in an RV. He was about to end humanity with a Winnebago. Jack steered more frantically, trying to get traction. It still wasn't working. The dune was too steep and the sand too loose. In a split second, he realized that his only chance would be once he hit the stone around the lever, he should have traction on the stone for just a second before he hit the lever. He wouldn't have time to stop, but he should be able to steer away. Jack took a better grip on the steering wheel and tried to turn the RV a little bit. Every little bit would help. He'd have to time his turn just right. The RV got to the bottom of the dune, sliding at an amazing speed in the sand. Just before they reached the stone, Jack looked across it to check that they were still heading for the lever. Yep, they were. But Jack noticed something else that he hadn't seen from the top of the dune. Nate wasn't wrapped around the lever. He was off to the side of the lever, but still on the stone waiting for them. The problem was, he was waiting on the same side of the lever Jack had picked to steer towards to avoid the lever. The RV was already starting to drift that way a little in its mad rush across the sand, and there was no way that Jack was going to be able to go around the lever to the other side. Jack had an instant of realization. He was going to have to hit the lever or run over Nate. He glanced over at Sammy and saw that Sammy realized the same thing. At that moment, Jack gathered up all of his accumulated wisdom, both from the gift of Nathaniel the Snake and from his years of journeying. He took a firmer grip on the steering wheel as the RV ran up on the stone, shouting to Sammy as he pulled on the steering wheel. "Better Nate than lever!" He ran over the snake. I feel like Becca's reaction's the best one I've ever seen. Just, I see. That is genuinely my favorite joke. Unlike the purple push pop, I do need the script in front of me to do that one properly.
Mm.
Do you all... I have done good work here. Fun fact, V has never heard that joke in its entirety.
Yep.
Every single time I've told the joke, they have fallen asleep.
Yep.
I have absolutely never read random recipes from one of my cookbooks in ASMR voice solely. Or I have never done this. I also know there's a manual page that talks about the location of each of the shrines. I don't know if we have it in game yet.
Let's see what we got. Let's start all the way at the beginning.
It would be page 23,
Okay.
if we have it.
We do.
Okay, yeah. So there is one in the Western Garden, one in the Eastern Forest, one in the swamps, which we got, one in the library, and one in the monastery, and one in the fortress.
Mm-hmm. Which one do you think we should go for first?
The one in the monastery is the potion one, and
Yeah.
apparently that one is like just behind the door in the mountains.
You mean closer to the quarry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm not precisely sure where all of them... Oh.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope. And that one's not activated, sadly.
I think if you pray on it, it might activate... Well, wait. Let's see here.
Give it a try. Doesn't look it.
Huh. Okay. The defense one should be somewhere over this way, I think.
Okay. The hero's grave. Okay. Sounds like there might be one in this direction.
Okay.
Unless this is the one I already got. Hi! There it is. But unfortunately, I gotta deal with you guys first.
These jerks.
Ah, crap.
Why is everything made of butt cancer?
Just lucky. Didn't mean to go to this one. Since right now I don't see any way to do anything here.
Hey, Star, you know how you hate the Pokemon Rotom?
Yes.
Apparently in this webcomic I follow, they basically made Rotom into Spamton.
Huh. Oh god, no, I didn't mean to run into you again!
We are not ready for this.
No. Granted, I can still do damage to you.
Like, I think it is technically possible to beat D20 Mom here, but I wouldn't advise trying to.
Yeah, I was not planning to. I did not mean to go there. And yeah, I did talk to the librarian. He basically just kind of gave us hints of where everything is, I think. I'm just trying to remember which path I took to get to that spot. The hidden teleporter behind that... Hang on, let me grab that. If I can. I should be able to grab that, right? There we go.
Okay, this is talking about regaining your powers, and oh!
That's important, I know.
Yep, it's the Holy Cross, so down, right, up, left, up, right.
Yeah, that's the thing we have to use, I think, for a certain other thing. Anything in here while I'm looking? Nope, this was just the area with all those chests.
The webcomic is on Twitter. It's called Tinder Skitty.
Oh, that.
Yep. Which is oddly heartwarming, given what it's titled.
Can I even get to the one behind the stairs? I don't think I can. I think it's all blocked off by the purple cancer. Let me try down this direction. Yeah, this looks like it was the same direction. Yep, it was over here. That's where I was going. God damn these things.
Seriously, this sounds just like something from Echo the Dolphin.
Just getting a swig of water. Got my health back, at least.
That's super useful.
Yeah. Okay, that's 3 done.
The Zerg were always my brother's favorites in StarCraft. Let's see here.
Alright, so...
We got the swamp one. We got the fortress one. We got the forest one, right? Because we got attack. So that leaves the library, the garden, and the monastery.
But I didn't see anything in the library. That's the weird thing. Other than enemies.
I remember we passed one, but I don't remember where.
Yeah, me neither.
Because, like, I remember even when we were in there last session. Was it last session? Going like,
Yeah, I think so.
oh, we need to remember this.
It wasn't near the... The thing is, I don't know if we can get to the top of the library. And, because there's no ladder there now. Because the ladder that allowed us to get up there is no longer here. Only option is down. And down has a lot of bad enemies. Because I can't go that direction, because... bad voodoo. So I gotta go down here.
Like, I feel like it wasn't terribly far away from the teleporter, but... Okay.
Ah! Crap. Door thingy use cross inputs? Well, like here? And what was the... Ah, there it is.
Write it opposite my avatar stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Down, right, up, left, up, right. Okay.
Alright.
I don't think this podium is where you use it, but I could be wrong.
Well, give it a try. What was it again?
Down, right, up, left, up, right.
Nope, nothing. I guess I could try closer to the bottom.
Well, I know the librarian guy was saying something about the Holy Cross.
Maybe I
So maybe
I say it to him?
Yeah.
I'll give it a try. Give it a get to me again.
Down, right, up, left, up, right.
Nope. Okay. Fast travel there using the golden teleporter, then run back to the large room at the beginning of the library with the two winding staircases. The hero's grave will be in the center. Okay. So we were on the right path, we just didn't see it. I probably have to deal with the, statues first, though. Yeah, because it looks like right now in the center is just goop. Oh, wait. It's the one in front of this guy. I see. Why are you guys so difficult? Don't touch the purple goop. It's poison.
Don't touch the butt cancer, it's bad.
Yes. Well, I got one. Ah. Ah. Crap. Well, I was doing good there for a while. Okay, at the very least he's in the corner now, so he's probably gonna leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what
I
it
didn't
was.
think. I thought it was a different one from that, but
Yeah, but unfortunately... I don't... The thing in the middle is currently covered in butt cancer. It's a problem.
oh, that thing down there. I see it. I see it. Okay. So let's do the pattern there. So
Okay.
it's down, right, up, left, up, right.
Just did it. Nothing happened.
Let me look at the manual page for that again, if I can remember where the freak it is.
Yeah, it looks like it's
'Cause
only for certain doors.
Yeah.
Ah, crap. I was doing really good there. But yeah, I don't know if I can do that one just yet.
Hmm.
Because that one's covered up with the butt cancer. I can't reach it.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll have to try a different statue until we can get there. Maybe once we get more of the other ones, certain ones will open up. So what would be the closest one after that? Vote Monastery, okay. I can remember how to get there.
Yeah, can you go up the mountain?
Yeah, let me get back to where the quarry is, I suppose. Again, a lot of places are closed off because of all the butt cancer.
Cheese is delicious.
It is. Wait, wrong button. Switch over to you. This is a spot I think we could do one of the fairy things, so... Or one of the button presses, so it was...
Down, right, up, left, up, right.
Nope. Maybe we can't do it while we're currently in fox spirit form. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We probably can't do anything until we're, like, fully foxy beeped. Like, we're back to living.
And I know there's a way to get your body back, and I don't remember precisely what it is.
Yeah, I'd probably have to look it up. I know that the... Let's try the trick here.
I know for a fact we need something much bigger for that.
Okay, so we'll wait on that.
But it's on the right track. That door is the most intense puzzle in the game.
Whoa, what the... I just fell through the world.
Game?
No, I think that was intentional. I think it's specifically stopping us from trying to get all the statues.
Let's try it again to see what happens.
And I can't even get to the other door yet because I can't get to the other path that goes into the monastery because it's blocked off by the miasma. It's like the game is directly glitching out, so I can't do anything. Wrong way. Or is it? Yeah, there's the other door.
Oh, try it with that one.
Okay.
Try the Holy Cross with that one.
Okay.
So it is down, right, up, left, up, right.
Nope. I have a feeling we can't do it until we get our body back. Alright, let's try that again. No, maybe I was just not walking the right direction. See, that would have been kind of interesting if it was letting me... It was going to be like, oh no, you can't go in. Or stopping you to make sure you can't. But holy... Oh dear. That's a lot of purple.
That's a lot of butt cancer right there.
Mm-hmm. At least I can reach this, save point now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's see. Where was the statue? Was it in the monastery or outside of it?
It was near where the gas mask was, I think.
Okay, so it was probably back in this direction.
Yeah.
If it's grape flavored, I don't know for sure, and I don't want to test it out. Oh, hello. Oh, you look kind of broken.
Yeah, that was the one that wasn't working when we tried it previously. But because this was the part where the game got friggin' dark.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, it's not even letting me walk up. Don't think that's an option.
Okay.
Hi!
So those can attack now! Great!
I liked you better when you were Jesus. Holy shnikes, you do a lot of damage. Okay, so if we can't go that way, guess our only option's this direction.
Actually to get to that hero's grave, we do have to kill that thing.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Ah! This thing hits hard, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it comes out of that broken monolith.
That would make sense.
Ah!
I think dodging through it works better than dodging away from it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Just because it has long noodle appendages, much like myself, really.
Hmm. It's true, he is good Foxy Peep Jesus.
Hey.
Oh, didn't appear that time. Whoops. Yeah, it looks like you have to dodge through it rather than...
Yeah.
Because you dodge away from it, it seems to swipe more.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Ah, crap, I set myself on fire.
What? Don't set yourself on fire. I don't care how hot you are.
Hey!
You.
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 You. Ah! Ah! I dodged too soon there.
No.
Actually. Smash those out of the way, see if that helps. Finally!
There we go. We have slain evil Foxy Beep Jesus.
Yes.
Who, to be fair, I'm pretty sure has legit reason to be pissed off.
Yeah, I would say. Okay, so yeah, killing the statues in the library will free the statue.
Okay.
Alrighty, we got that one done.
Yeah, this is the part of the game where we found out that those monoliths are powered by the souls of the damned. It was pretty great.
Yeah. Now the question is, can we warp back? Oh, I never got you, did I? Oh, I can't get you. Wait. Nope, I can't get you. Up there we go. Now I can get you. More mushrooms.
Oh,
Cool.
neat.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think we can actually go back that way at the moment. Too much cancer.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna have to go back the other direction to get to that. But given the time frame, this might be a good place to wrap up the actual stream once I get to where I need to go.
We've made some progress.
We have. Even if most of the progress was me struggling to defeat a boss rush. And you torturing everybody with the purple push pop joke.
One day, little Billy was on the playground when he'd heard a phrase he'd never heard before.
Well, the snake joke, but still.
Seriously, even though the combat of this game is puzzles are arcane, I love this game.
Yeah, I'm still enjoying myself even amidst the frustrating bits.
Like, it is genuinely really cleverly designed. All of it.
Oh, I don't even have enough for that.
But that is a save point, so...
Yeah. I was kind of hoping to try and get to the library really quick, just to have a save spot there, so we know where to start next time.
Okay.
Here we go. But yeah, this might be a good stopping point for this stream.
Alright, I hope you all are still enjoying the game, because we sure as hell are. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for sitting through Nate the Snake. That was not part of my original plan for the evening.
Nope.
So, yes, as always, if you like us and you like our stuff, be sure to like, comment, no. But if you like our stuff, there's more of it out there. Over on Star's YouTube channel, there are several LPs that are going on. In fact, this week a new one's going up, yeah?
Yes. Because we already finished up the Silent Hill 2 Let's Play last week, which involved our good friend Yorkshire Raven. Definitely check out his channel.
Because we're on that also.
Yes. And we'll be taking a brief interlude from Corpse Party, which I'm doing with our internet channel V. Again, check their YouTube channel out, as well as their art commissions.
Definitely.
And their audio commissions. They started doing that recently, too.
Mm-hmm.
The next series we will be starting up for the next couple weeks will be Little Inferno, which is. Go ahead.
That's gonna be one of the most surreal LPs ever, just because of the way that game is played.
Yep.
We also on Saturday uploaded the first episode of Super Paper Mario.
Yep.
Because it was Super Paper Mario's birthday, so be on the lookout for more episodes of that. Which
features our good friend Sarat and the YouTube channel. Definitely check out his channel.
Yep.
And our internet sister Layla M, who also has a YouTube channel and a SoundCloud. Definitely check her out.
Yep. And speaking of Sarat's channel, there's an LP we just finished going up on there that features Star and I, the Octopath Traveler one. It's the longest LP either of us have ever been in, which is a more impressive thing in the case of Star, because she's been doing this way longer than I have. But, it is worth checking out because that game is fantastic and we have a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Another LP featuring me will be going up on Surat's channel in the near future.
Yep.
Do you all like seeing me mad at things? Because if so, that might be a good LP for you to watch.
And Lady Mage is also doing a LP with Sarat and Yorkshire Raven, so definitely check her YouTube channel out as well.
Yes. Space Hillbillies is tomorrow. Nice. We occasionally write for a website called The Game Creator. Feel free to check that out. Man, we should really do Dexter Stardust sometime, because I reviewed that game and thoroughly enjoyed it. Anyway, check out The Game Creator. Several of our friends are involved in musical productions. Lemon Light Productions features Sarat prominently in their indie song package. Go check that out. Our friend Cello Chiquita is going to be doing a dub of Coffee Talk, which again, Sarat and several other of our friends are in. Go check that out once it starts going up. Actually, during the audition process, I made a joke about the fact that Sarat was probably going to get cast for that, because there's a specific part where I was like, JKLantern, now auditioning for the part of Sarat, I mean Hendry. Like, both of us were, like, I think all of us were like, yeah, Sarat's getting that part. It was, yeah. Like, the description was looking for dad voice, and it's just like, yeah, that's Sarat. But yeah, check that out. Several of our friends are involved in Time the Musical over on Bright Torch Productions. Check that out. Several of our friends are involved in Juno's Song of Heroes. Check that out. We're involved in... Wow, the name of the group just flew out of my head, and that's embarrassing. Game Rec Room. Game Rec Room Super Mario Galaxy song package, which has been on hiatus for a little bit, but you should check that out. You did feel a bit called out, yes. I feel like I'm missing a shout out somewhere. Hey!
Hey. I mean, Lantern is best beef boyfriend.
Star is best beep girlfriend. I'm having a lot of... Even though I haven't gone through all of the system yet, I'm having a lot of fun jotting down notes for that potential Avatar campaign that we'll be doing in the Discord server, which we have, by the way. If you're not a member of the Discord server, feel free to check it out and hang out with us.
Yep. Yeah, and yes, he does sneeze like a kitten.
I do not sneeze like a kitten.
Yes, you do.
I do not.
Even yesterday when you sneezed, it was adorable.
I do not sneeze like a kitten. Hang on a sec. Let's see if I can make it happen. This might be a minute, folks.
You don't want to know what he does to make himself sneeze.
Okay, I don't think it's coming.
Yeah.
Waterbending cannot cure scurvy.
I mean, if you think about it, the waterbending kind of goes into the actual natural water within your body, so...
Look, are you giving them water with ascorbic acid in solution? Is that what you're doing?
I mean, you could.
That would potentially cure scurvy. Granted, I don't think a direct injection of vitamin C into your bloodstream would necessarily work properly, because I feel like there are some metabolic steps in there somewhere. But...
So, there we go. Now we have an excuse for why lay of hands can cure scurvy. You have to be a waterbender. He's so adorable when he's flustered.
Hey! This has been JKLantern. Good night and Godspeed!
Good night, everyone.